Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to see how we can easily get started with CITS by creating the very first test case. In my opinion, the most easy way is to start recording with the recording capability of this tool. So we're going to create a fresh project, click on File, New Project, and we're going to say My First Project. Name your project, click on Create Project. So a brand new project opens up with an empty canvas. So we only have a default scenario, a default test case, which is empty. If you remember from the previous video, this is where we are going to have our test steps. There is no object, so the object repository is empty. There are no reusables, there is no test data. So we can start recording by clicking on this recorder option. But before we do that, we need to enable the CITS extension for Chrome. So we go to Chrome and we go to Chrome Web Store. In Web Store, we search with Cognizant Intelligent Test. And this is the extension that we need to add to Chrome. If I click on this, Add to Chrome, Add extension. So this extension has been added to Chrome. But until and unless we pin it, we will not be able to see it against the address bar. Now, this extension is going to enable us to ensure that there is a communication channel between the tool, which is currently hosted on our local machine, with the browser or the website that we are going to interact with. What I mean by that is, if I click on right click on this extension and open up the options, this is the local host and this is the port via which this extension is going to communicate with this tool by passing the information like what is the name of the object, what are the attributes of the object, what is the data that we are passing, so on and so forth. And this tool is going to add it in this empty canvas. So you're going to see this shortly. Now, first we need to test the connection that this extension is talking to the tool. If I click on test connection, it's showing red. That means the connection is not enabled. If we scroll down, we have quite a few information on this page which we are going to explore in a while. If we click on need help and scroll down, it says that we need to mandatorily open the object spy or the object heal or the recorder in order to establish a connection between this extension and the tool. So this red icon is the recorder, this one is the object spy, and this one is the object heal. In this video, we are going to deal explicitly on with these three features. For now, let's just click on the recorder and let's just click on this extension. Now we see that there is a communication that is happening. This turns into a green R. That means it is currently in a recording mode. If I go back to configurations and I click on test connection, I see it has turned green. That means everything is going okay. All right, my connection is okay, but we are not going to record anything as of yet. Let's explore this configurations a little bit more of this extension. So this configuration tells us that the object properties that this extension is going to capture from the website are the ID, XPath, name, relative XPath, class, CSS, link text. And for the XPath, it also has set up a priority of the attributes with which it is going to form the relative XPath. We're going to see an example of this that to make it easy for us. If I click on this attribute, it says that it's going to pick up a placeholder or a title or a value, name, type, action, on click. These are the properties that it's going to use predominantly to create a relative XPath, and this is the priority. So in case there is a placeholder that is there on the web on a web element, it's going to use the placeholder to create a relative XPath. At any point in time, we can change the priority, or we can add a new attribute of our choice, and the relative XPath will use that new attribute to create a brand new relative XPath for us. Okay, let's first keep this as default as of now. We are going to click on save, and let's start our first recording. Now, I'm going to use a demo website called saucedemo.com. This is a demo website built by Swag Labs, and it has quite a few interesting use cases which we can use for automated testing. So let's start with the recording. This is our recorder. The scenario name is new scenario. It's a default scenario name that came up. So we can change the scenario name. Just click on F2 and then you can rename it. I'm going to name it as scenario 1 as of now, and the test case as test case or TC1 as of now. I start the recorder. I click on the extension. Currently it's showing as green R. Right click on the extension, click open, and the first step gets recorded where it understands, okay, this is the website, and it captures the details in the input column. So browser, open, and then the URL. I'm going to save this so that the empty row on the top disappears. I'm going to keep on recording this. So the username that I need to enter is standard_user. So click on username, standard_user. Password is secret sauce, secret_sauce, and then click on login. Okay, that out of the way. If you notice that the tool detects that this is a password that it is going to enter, so it automatically encrypts the password so that it's not visible in plain sight. It is base 64 encoded essentially, and that's pretty handy. So from step 1 to 6, we have been able to enter the username, enter the password, and click on login and enter into this website. We have quite a few items that we can purchase from this demo website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the add to cart against Sauce Labs Bold t-shirt. Let's click on add to cart. So now one item is added to the cart. The click got recorded. I'm going to click on the cart. So now I am inside the cart. Now, as a test engineer, what we would want to do is we would want to validate whether the item that you have added is successfully added to the cart or not. That means we are talking about an assertion, a verification. So what we are going to do is we are going to verify whether this element is currently available on the screen or on inside the cart or not. So if we do a right click, we see the extension, and we have a lot of options from where we can choose the action that we're going to perform. I'm going to say element, and I'm going to say assert element displayed. You can also choose like a text and say assert element text equals or contains if it's a dynamic text, or starts with, ends with, or assert element text matches. Any of these will work perfectly fine. I'm going to say element assert element displayed, marks it in blue immediately, and an assertion is automatically created in the test case, the action being assert element displayed. Keep saving this. So on the fly, so we are not just doing uh, a dummy recording, but we are creating assertions on the fly. We click on checkout. I'm going to enter Ashish, my last name, and the zip code, and then I'm going to click on continue. Okay, at this point in time, you can also go ahead and do a validation of the amount. For example, whether the amount is 15.99. You can do a validation of the total, including the tax, that is $1727. Um, in order to do that, do the same thing, right click. Um, Against this extension, this time we're going to use a different validation technique. So we're going to use text. So we're going to say assert element text equals or contains in this case, and the amount is what we are going to add as the assertion value. And then we click on finish. So the checkout is complete, and then we are going to add a further assertion uh, to check whether the success message is displayed or not. So same thing, element displayed. So this is the message that we are going to display. I mean, we're going to assert that it is getting displayed or not. So all of that is now added to the script. The script is ready. We click on save and we close the recorder. So this is a script that we have got after the recording is complete. Now we will look at the script later on. We will understand how easy or difficult is to read the script, or whether we need to make any kind of changes to the script, or whether it is ready to be run as is or not. We're going to look into this at a later stage. As of now, we know that we have recorded a flow. This is typically what you would do as an engineer: sit with the subject matter expert or your business user who would help you pass through a proper business flow. And you're going to add the validations, the important assertions in your script, along with the data that you're going to use to perform the test. And now you're going to come back, and now you're going to assess how to make this script robust. Okay, but we're going to do that later. Let's look at what the tool did in terms of capturing the objects, right? So as I was explaining in one of my previous videos, it uses the concept of page object model. So the page was identified as swag, and all the elements that it interacted with the website were captured. Now, if I click on one of the objects, for example, username, what it did is it captured all the attributes that were essentially, let's say, part of the extension that we saw right at the very beginning. So if I go back to options, and if you see the ID, XPath, name, relative XPath, class, CSS, link text, all of these were captured by the tool. Now, if you had unchecked any one of these attributes, and if you if you save it, then the next time that it records, it would not capture the ID or the name, and it would just go ahead with the class, link text, CSS, relative XPath or XPath. So that's pretty flexible. That is pretty solid. It's some really good stuff that has been built in this. Some nice intelligence that we are going to see pretty handy as we move forward in this series. Now, in order to test this, what we will do is we have already done a recording, but we are going to explore another feature called the spy feature of the tool, wherein suppose you have a use case where um, after the recording, you suddenly realize, hey, there is one more object that needs to be added to your script. In this case, let's take the example of this checkout complete text. It's a new text that came in. It was not there when you were doing the recording. So after a new iteration, there has been a deployment. And this is another text that you need to validate, for example. Are you going to record the full thing? No. So what you will do is, um, okay, before that, we are going to go to options and we are going to make a quick change. So we are going to say, hey, I don't need the CSS. I don't need the name, for example, and also the class. So the ID, if at all there is one, the XPath, relative XPath, and the link text are good enough for me. So I'm going to save this. Okay. So what I will do is I'm going to click on spy. So this opens up. This is the same page where the object is supposed to get added. What I will do is go back to the application, Swag Labs, click on the extension. The last time it was a green S, sorry, a green R, beg your pardon. This time it's a green S, that means it is spying. So if you keep hovering on any of these elements, it highlights in blue. For us, we need this text, this element, checkout complete. So the way to add this into your object repository would be clicking on Control and right click at the same time. And you see object added, uh, it says checkout complete. So checkout complete, this is the new object that has been added. And if I look at this, I see relative XPath, XPath are added. The name, ID, link text, class, CSS are not added. If I go back to the options, um, ID, I wanted the ID to be captured, but this element doesn't have an ID, doesn't have a name. Okay, it may have a name, but we didn't want the name to be added. We didn't want the class to be added, the CSS to be added. So it was able to detect an XPath, a unique value for the XPath, and a relative XPath, and that's what we have. Right? Okay. Now, this is very easily one of the most unique features of the tool where we can spy around. We can keep on adding whatever object that we want from the website and keep on enriching our object repository. So we do not always have to do a recording. We can just do a spy, control, right click, and the object keeps on getting added to our object repository. Now, once it is added to the repository, how we are going to use it? So, um, in the script, line number 21, where we finished our recording, we are going to add a new line by clicking on the green plus. So that adds a new line. And if we scroll down in our object repository, we see the checkout complete object, which has been freshly added by Spy, is there. So we are going to drag and drop it um, in the object column, and then we want to perform some action on it. So it's going to be an assertion again. So we are going to say assert element present. We have used displayed, we have used the text assertions. We can also use assert element present. If you had noticed, it comes back with a list of multiple assertions, verifications of different kinds that we can explore. And all of these are like really, really handy, where you do not need to write any explicit code to achieve these kinds of assertions. So we're going to save, and we have been able to see that using recording, we were able to create a nice scaffolding, a nice structure. I'm not going to comment on whether it's a really compact test case already or not. I would just assume that it's a nice scaffolding, that we have a basic test case to begin with. And then with the spy capability, we were able to add objects to the object repository, enrich it, and even drag and drop the freshly created objects and perform some action on it without writing a single line of code. Before we wrap up this video, let's quickly look at another very interesting feature of this tool, and that is object heal. So this is the object heal icon. Now, when does it come into picture? It comes into play when there is a screen element that has undergone a change and your script keeps on failing because of that one object. And using this heal feature, you can actually heal the element by refactoring the correct attributes of that object in your object repository. Let's see this in action. Let's click on object heal. It opens up the same window like the object spy, which we saw some time back. And then let's go back to the application. Let's click on this extension. So this time it's a green H. A green H, that means it is in a heal mode. If I click on the page, we would see that all the objects are coming in red except for a couple of them. In this case, the thank you for your order. This is the object that is there on that page, and hence it is able to uniquely identify it, and hence it is coming as green. So if you click on this, it will highlight this object, and if you click on the other one, checkout object complete, it highlights this object as well. If you click back on the page, the green ones are highlighted. Both the objects, both the elements are highlighted. So now we are going to perform a quick trick. So we cannot deploy this application. We don't own this. So we cannot make a change in the element property of the application. But what we can do, though, is we can come to this object repository. We can click on checkout complete, and we are going to pretend that the first time when we had spied this object, we were able to capture a relative XPath with a text as checkout element, let's say um, incomplete. Incomplete, and the XPath was not captured. Let's assume, and the type is also empty. So now we are creating a situation where during the first recording or spying, the tool has captured an element with certain properties. Okay, now if we click on heal again and we go back to the application, we click on the extension and we click on the page, the checkout complete is now no longer green. It is in red. That means the application does not have this element and the tool is unable to identify it on this page. Okay, but we do know that it is there and it is currently unavailable to the tool because we have changed the object properties. So in order to fix this, we are going to enter into a heal and spy mode together. So we are going to right click and we are going to enter into spy mode from this extension. So now if you look at this extension, it is H and S together. So we're going to click on the object. At this point in time, we have a comparative window. We have the old properties versus the new properties. So we have selected the object which keeps on failing in our test cases. Okay. Now we mouse hover on the actual element on the screen and we do the same thing. Control right click. So now the message is the checkout complete has been updated with new values. So now if we close this and we go back to the tool, we see that checkout complete has now been refactored into, with the correct attributes. So we had changed this to checkout incomplete, so it has been refactored with the correct values, and the XPath is also back. Now again, if we do a heal and go back to the application, click on the extension and click on the page, this time the green indicates that it is able to find this. So this is another very cool feature that we will use in our day-to-day automation if we are able to successfully implement this tool. So on this, we are going to close this video, and in the next video, we are going to see if we can break all the myths related to the recording capabilities of scriptless tools. See you in the next video.